beautiful viewers. You are welcome with Coding for AI, Building an AI Chatbot Lesson 1. First, let's introduce ourselves. Why do we need to build an AI chatbot? Now, a chatbot is a computer program designed to converse, very important, with its user via text. That means you can type text just like ChatGPT, or via voice, like if you try to convert your voice to text, or using an AI like 11 Labs. Often used to answer questions. So a chatbot can use text. The most common chatbots use text, while some use voice, and provide information or complete tasks. Again, so a chatbot is a computer program designed to converse with its user via text or voice, often used to answer questions, provide information, or complete tasks. So what happens in a chatbot? You type a message, you now get a response. If the response is inaccurate, the chatbot learns from the user inputs. Now, building a chatbot gives you a foundational knowledge or insight to how AI interacts and learns from humans. So that's what we're going to be doing in this lesson. So let's jump right into it. We're going to use Kaggle as our learning platform. So to be able to use this lesson, to work with this lesson properly, you need to be able to refer to our lesson on data analysis with Python. That will give you a foundational knowledge on how to use this platform Kaggle and know how to use Python. So before you use this lesson, you have to walk through or go through that lesson from lesson 1 till 10, I suppose. So check our learning platform, Entrepreneurship TV, and get the foundations before you jump right into it. So let's go to Kaggle here. So we type Kaggle on Google, Kaggle, press enter. So you can see Kaggle is for use for machine learning. It's a very beautiful platform for using Python. So I open it on another tab, right click, open. So I come to this environment here. So it takes me right to my own dashboard. On my dashboard, you will see all the explanations there. You can see this is Kaggle environment. So I go to my notebooks where I have stored the information. I click on this. So let me scroll down and see what we have here. Scroll down, scroll down. So you can see it all developed. So we'll go to AI Chatbot Lesson 1. So let's click on it. What are we going to learn in Lesson 1? Let's see what we're going to learn in Lesson 1. It's still loading. Okay, fine. So what we're going to learn in Lesson 1, we're going to learn introduction to Python variables and inputs, how to use the inputs. So what would you learn? You will learn using the inputs command in Python, using the print command, and also basic variables. Now quickly, the first point is that the input command in Python is used to get inputs from the console or keyboard, meaning that it will make a request for an entry and you will enter using your keyboard. Now, what does that mean? Let's look at a simple example. Now, look at this variable very well. It says user input, which is a variable user input, is equal to input. The command is being used now. Now it says enter something column. You have to enter something, it's expecting something. Then it prints out the result. You entered user input. Whatever you entered, it will print out the result. Now let us do that. Now let's run this code here. We run it here. When we run this code, it says, let's see what it says. We're waiting for it to give us the user input. Okay. It's still running. It's taking a while, probably because of the network. Okay, fine. You can see. Now it says enter something, which was what was in the input. Now, say, what do I say? Enter computer. Let's say, let's type here learning. Um, let's type learning AI coding, for example. Learning AI coding, and I press enter. Now it now says what? You entered learning, okay, said earning, so the learning AI coding. So let's look at the code again. User input, enter something, print the output. So you enter the variable, it enters into, you enter the input, it allows you to, the input allows, asks you for a question, then it prints out your result. Now let me quickly do this. Let me copy this and use it in another code venue. Now I click this code here. Let me run it here and paste it here. Let me change this user input to, let me say, let me just call it entry. Remove this here. Remove this and call this entry. Okay, call it entry. And input means enter, or I just type, change it here. I try here. I say type. And they type in your question. For example, type in your question. Type in your question. I like to use capital letters. Yes, type in your question, and I'll say print. It said, I'll now remove this here, and I put answer. Answer. Now it will no longer be user input. It will now be entry. So I remove entry here. Okay. Now, and I run this. Fine, you can see now here it said enter something because this is what was here. Here it said type in your question, which is what the input was here. And I now say print answer entry. Now type in your question. What is artificial intelligence? Okay, what is artificial intelligence? And I press enter. Answer, what is artificial intelligence? So this is how to use the input command, and you go to the input and the print command in Python. Now let's see some other examples. Now it says here input means enter something, displays the prompt and waits for the user to type in and type something and press enter. It always returns a string, which is a text or character text or words, even if the user enters numbers. Now, how to use the input command in Python. Now, this is another variable, age. Now here we used only input, but now we are putting something extra. We put integer. Supposing we want to restrict it to just allow us to make the input be numbers. Now, if I enter your age, print, you will be age plus 1 next year. Now, if I run this code here, it says enter your age, and I said 40, for example. Okay, now, and I press enter, it said you will be 41 what next year. Now, supposing I run it again, I don't enter number, I run it now, and I enter what? So let me type 40 in words, and I press enter. You can see it gives me an error because the input is supposed to be an integer. Now we'll see how to correct this as we make progress. So let's run the code again and enter another number, 55, and I run and I change this to plus 5 here, and I want to run it. It's still loading, so let's allow it to finish its processing. Taking a while, but give it time. Okay. Okay. So still processing. Let me pause it here. Okay. Now, and I press run. Now you can see it says enter your age, and I type 55, and I press enter. It says you will be 60 next year. So it has added the input, which is 50, added it, brought it to this equation here, and made it 60. Now let's make progress. Now let's look at another example. Now price equals to float input. The first one we use input. We are trying to see how to make, if we want the input to be restricted to numbers. You either use integer or you use float. So price equal to float, open bracket, input, enter the price, then print price with tax is price times 1.1. So let's run this again. We run this. Okay, the price, what price? You give it a number. Let's assume it is 60. We call it 16 or say 69, and we press enter. Now it will multiply 69, which is what we enter, times 1 times 1.1, and it gives us 75.9. Now, because what was entered was an integer, if we enter, let's run it again. Let's say we enter a text, let's say 60. If we enter 60 and we run it and we press enter, it will give us an error because it has been made float. Now let's do something else. Let's remove the float here, remove this command here, and see how it turns out to be. Let's remove the command here, input. Okay, now if I remove this, okay, input, sorry, let me put Ctrl Z. Okay, it was actually float here. Okay, let's see how it works here. Okay, input, enter this. Okay, so even if I use input, okay, price is input. Where is our input? Let me copy this here. Input. Okay, so if I put input here, now price, let me run this command here. Price plus tax. I use this. I wanted to convert it back. Let me convert it back. It's giving us an error. Let's convert it back. Let me change the input. Let me put here. Copy this. Control C, and I bring it here. Let's say we're on price now. Let me put it here. Okay. Let me put it here. Okay, sorry, I was supposed to remove this. I found what the error was, and I run this. Beautiful. Okay, now the input, remember there was a float here and there was a bracket here, so I didn't notice that. So now I enter 60, enter 60, and I press enter. Now it still gives me, because there is a multiplication here, that's why it's giving me that there can be no multiplication. So let me remove this plus here, remove this, remove this. Okay, and I run it again, and I type what? 60. I type 60. It will bring out that as the output, and I press enter. Now I say press enter. Okay, it said the price tax is 60. Why? Because I removed the float and I also removed the multiplication. So the essence of the integer and the float is to restrict the output to become just either a number or a number with a decimal. Now let's do a simple calculation using what we have learned so far. So let's understand this code here. We have number 1 equals to float. That means the output will be decimal, float, input, enter the first number. Number 2, float, input, also decimal. 3, operation. Operation means is it plus or minus or whatever. Input, choose the operation you want. Then said if operation is equal to plus, you will say result number 1 plus 2. Else if operation equals to minus, number 1 minus number 2. If operation equals to plus, result is number 1 plus 2. If operation equals to division, result number 1, number 2, else result is invalid operation, print results. Now let's run this code and see what the output will be. So we enter the first number. Let's see. So let's also make reference to the first number. We can make the first number 12, for example. Press enter. Now enter second number. Let's make the second number 10. Press enter. You can now say, so I'll choose the operation. So I can decide to choose plus, minus, times, a division. Let me decide to choose times, or which one would I go for? Let me say times. Okay, I choose times and I press enter. It said the result is 120. Yes, 120. I run the operation again. I choose the first number, the same value. I say 12, press enter. And I choose 10, press enter. I choose the operation as the plus sign and I press enter. So the answer is 22, which is added 12 plus 10 gives me 22. Now, so we have seen how the input function and the print function work. So just in a summary, so if we try this now, so number equals to input, this is integer, enter integer, print, you entered number, except value error, print you did. So let's go, okay, let's look at how this also, if we run this now, enter an integer. If I enter an integer, I type 645 and I press enter. The answer, I say you entered 45. If I now enter, I want to put and I type it in words, 45, and I press enter. It says the value is not a valid integer. This is how you can use the input and the print statement that go together. So finally, let's take a summary. So if we type username, input, hello, what's your name? You print fine, nice to meet you, username. So let's run this code and see. So hello, what's your name? My name is Vincent. If I press enter, it says nice to meet you, Vincent. So this is how you use the input. Let's scroll up and see. This is how you use the inputs, the prints, and work with basic variables in Python environment. Python, and we're using the Kaggle environment, and we're trying to learn how to build a chatbot. So we have seen how to use inputs to get a response from the keyboard or the console. I hope you have learned something from this lesson. So my name remains Vincent Hope.